Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel was a German zoologist and evolutionist who was a strong proponent of Darwinism and who proposed new notions of evolutionary descent of human beings. Born February 16, 1834, in Potsdam, Prussia. Prussia was a significant historical region in Europe. Initially located on the southeastern coast of the Baltic Sea, it originated as the land of the Prussians, a Baltic-speaking people, and later came under Polish and German rule during the Middle Ages. In 1701, it became a kingdom under the Hohenzollern dynasty, which expanded its territories to include much of northern Germany and parts of western Poland. Prussia played a crucial role in the unification of Germany in 1871. After World War II, Prussia was dissolved, with its territories divided between Poland and the Soviet Union. This will be an important piece to the history of Ernst Haeckel, because after Prussia was dissolved, he will later in life be the scientist that is credited with bringing the ideas of Charles Darwin to Germany and popularizing them. So Haeckel grew up in Merseysburg, where his father was a government official. He studied at Würzburg and at the University of Berlin, where his professor, the physiologist and anatomist Johannes Müller, took him on a summer expedition to observe small sea creatures off the coast of Heligoland in the North Sea. The turning point in Haeckel's thinking was his reading of Charles Darwin's 1859 work on the origin of species by means of natural selection. Meanwhile, he completed a dissertation in zoology in 1861 at Jena and became professor there. In 1862, he was appointed associate professor of zoology, and that year when he published his monograph on Radiolaria, he expressed in it his agreement with Darwin's theory of evolution. From that time on, he was a proponent of Darwinism, and he soon was lecturing to scientific and lay audiences on the descent theory. Darwin had described evolution through the natural selection of accumulated favorable variations that in time formed new species. To Haeckel, however, this was just the beginning. In 1866, Ernst Haeckel proposed the kingdom of Protista to categorize microscopic primitive organisms that didn't clearly fit into the existing kingdoms of plants or animals, thereby establishing a third taxonomic kingdom to accommodate diverse, low-ranked life forms. So the recognition of protists was a pivotal moment in biology. It helped establish the study of microscopic organisms known as microbiology and set it apart as a distinct field. By categorizing the vast diversity of microscopic life, Haeckel's work stimulated further study of these organisms. After establishing the Third Kingdom in 1866, Haeckel's taxonomic work continued, most notably with the later addition of the Fourth Kingdom, Monera. His ideas greatly influenced biological classification and the modern concept of the tree of life. As microscopy advanced in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, scientists discovered that bacteria were fundamentally different from other single-cell organisms. Their cells lack a distinct nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Along with creating the Third Kingdom in 1866, Haeckel also coined the term ecology, which he defined as the study of the interactions between organisms and their environment, applying Darwin's theory of evolution to create a comprehensive understanding of animal science, including ecology, evolution, and development. He viewed ecology as an integral part of holistic understanding of biology, incorporating it with evolution and also development. Haeckel also created several influential trees of life, which were early visually complex illustrations of evolution and common descent. His 1866 model introduced the three kingdoms of Plantaea, Protista, and Animalia, and his later Pedigree of a Man in 1879 placed humans at the apex of a linear progression, reflecting a common 19th century view of evolution. So throughout my research, I discovered just how important Ernst Haeckel has been to microbiology and also zoology, and just classifying organisms as a whole. It's it's kind of mind blowing to see how before he established the Third Kingdom that everything was either classified as an animal or as a plant. And if you think about things like seaweed or kelp or different organisms, how he had the foresight to differentiate between the three kingdoms was really ahead of his time. Also, when you combine the fact that we didn't, there weren't microscopes as powerful as there are today. um, he based a lot of his information on the back of Darwin and his beliefs about natural selection. That's an entirely different topic, but it was good to read about and also to see how the two coincided and how he sort of continued down a path that Darwin started. If you take a look at his life overall, like some of the drawings that I included in the presentation, those were his illustrations. So he, along with also being a zoologist, he was a avid illustrator too. One of the things about the work he did with Darwin, well, I shouldn't say with Darwin, on Darwin, was a lot of Darwin's concepts were, how do you say, they were, there were no illustrations, like the tree of life and different things. He brought visual representations to those ideas. Like the tree of life I included, which were the second to last slides, were actually visual representations that he created that break down the evolution of or the hierarchy of species, with of course man being at the top, and then all the way to the bottom with the three kingdoms. So in all, I feel like without his discoveries or without his research, who knows where certainly microbiology, where will microbiology be today? Because, like I said earlier in the presentation, he kind of set the path for microbiology being a distinct like division of science. Um, so yeah, I mean Ernest Haeckel, and I think he came out of Prussia, which was Prussia predated what we know today as Germany. Um, so to think he came out of that, you got to think about the time period. You know, it was before World War II, and a lot of different things were happening on a global scale around the world. And not just with Ernest Haeckel, but if you also take into consideration a lot of discoveries made at that time, to think that these scientists had to deal with not only just being scientists and getting people to accept their ideas and also take them seriously, they also, whether they were young or later on in their life, going through wartime, you know, different obstacles that we really don't think about today. You have to think back then that science, was taking a back seat because a war was going on, and if you were a male of a certain age, I'm pretty sure what was on everyone's mind was not plants and animals, just to say the least. So just taking all of that in consideration, taking in the fact like I said, he was a zoologist, his love for animals, obviously, his passion as an illustrator, and just like I say, the foresight to differentiate between animal and plant kingdom, and to say that no, that these don't fit in either animal or plant kingdom. They may have characteristics of one or the other, but they need an entire kingdom of their own. And then also to establish the fourth kingdom, the kingdom of Monera. I feel like Ernest Haeckel contributed a vast amount to microbiology and science as a whole. So, yeah, I feel like Ernest Haeckel definitely contributed a lot to science as a whole. He changed the path of microbiology. He helped set it on the path to being a respected, distinct science of its own. He created, or at least created, a concept of adding two more kingdoms. At the time, it was only two. It was only animal, animalia, and plants. So he established the extra two kingdoms. His work as an illustrator, his work is just being a visionary, being able to see and bring a visual representation to earlier research and ideas of Charles Darwin with the Tree of Life, bringing that to life, bringing that to fruition. Also, just if you think back, he coined the term ecology. So he's a scientist that created a lot, and we still base a lot of our ideas or a lot of our research on things he discovered or brought to the forefront even today in microbiology. So that's a little short history of Ernst Haeckel. I hope I didn't butcher his name too much doing this project, but I really enjoyed this project, and I hope everyone learned at least one or two things about the history of Ernst Haeckel and his establishment of the uh, third and fourth kingdom. Thank you.